Today, we're talking all about retail security, the types of security jobs out there in retail, what employers are looking for in candidates, and which companies are leading the way in the field. So let's get into it. Before I forget, please hit the subscribe button below and the little bell thingy so you never miss a video from my channel. When it comes to retail security, many people have preconceived notions about what it is from their own experiences. However, retail security has come a long way from the days of just catching shoplifters. Yes, that's still a big part of it, but retailers have gotten much more sophisticated over time to combat theft and other losses, or as they call it, shrink. So what are some jobs you might find in retail security, or as it's more commonly called, loss prevention or asset protection? Here's a sampling. Security officer, loss prevention associate or detective, organized retail crime investigator, outreach coordinator, distribution center loss prevention associate, global security operations center analyst, and intelligence analyst. These are just a few of the many positions out there in retail security. Generally, the larger the organization, the more sophisticated their security operations are, and the more opportunities there are for upward mobility. Let's dive into a few of these. Security officer. A retail security officer typically serves as a deterrent to theft from a store and may perform more traditional tasks such as patrols, locking and unlocking the store, monitoring incoming deliveries, and more. An officer stationed at the front of the store is unlikely to be catching shoplifters unless something happens right in front of them. That's because you must be able to observe a shoplifter select an item and maintain continuous observation of them from that moment to the time they exit the store without paying. If you're stuck at the front door of the store, that's a tall order. Think of yourself as more of a cross between a warning to potential thieves and a door goalie for people just trying to grab stuff and bolt out the door. Loss prevention associate or detective. This position can be called many things, but the roles are always pretty similar. For simplicity, we'll call it a detective role, mostly because I think it sounds cool. In this role, you'll typically do more than just catching shoplifters. Although that's an important part of what you'll be doing, other forms of theft and loss, like fraud, employee theft, and preventable accidents can cost retailers much more. In terms of catching shoplifters, you might sit in the loss prevention office and use cameras to scan for outward signs that someone might intend to shoplift. You may also do similar surveillance while walking the floor of the store. Typically, detectives wear plainclothes to blend in with other shoppers so as not to tip off potential shoplifters of their presence. When a shoplifter exits the store, the detective will identify themselves and tell the shoplifter they have to come back into the store. From there, the merchandise will be recovered, the shoplifter identified, possibly issued a trespass notice, and typically released. However, at times you may need to call the police to arrest a shoplifter because of the amount of merchandise they stole, because they are uncooperative, or because they assaulted loss prevention staff. What else do detectives do? They investigate employee theft. Employees have access to cash, merchandise, and more. Employees may steal cash, manipulate transactions to line their pockets, give unauthorized discounts to friends, or may just walk out the door with merchandise they didn't pay for. When I worked in retail loss prevention, I was always amazed at the creativity of our sales associates when it came to theft and fraud. Never a dull moment. Detectives may also be involved in the safety program at a store. They might advocate for safe practices, perform safety audits and training, investigate accidents, and respond to medical emergencies. I started my security career in retail loss prevention as a loss prevention associate, and I can tell you that it was an interesting job, and I learned so much from my time there. I became very familiar with the criminal justice system, from prosecuting shoplifters and employees, formed great partnerships with law enforcement, and honed my investigative skills. But I'm not gonna lie, in my 10 years in retail loss prevention as a loss prevention associate and then as a manager, I can tell you that it can be a dangerous job at times. You are highly unlikely to be armed with any defensive tools and may not even have the luxury of carrying handcuffs due to liability concerns. Some shoplifters may be desperate to avoid being caught for fear of being arrested and can get violent. Moving on to organized retail crime investigator. I think this is one of the coolest jobs out there. These positions are becoming more common because of the rise of organized retail crime. But what is organized retail crime? According to Loss Prevention Magazine, organized retail crime, or ORC, involves the association of two or more persons engaged in illegally obtaining retail merchandise in substantial quantities through both theft and fraud as part of an unlawful commercial enterprise. The primary objective of these professional crime rings is to steal from retail organizations for the purpose of turning retail products into financial gain rather than for personal use. Typically coordinated under well-planned procedures and rules, organized retail crime can operate on a local, regional, national, or international scale. These intricate criminal operations are responsible for tens of billions of dollars in losses each year that can devastate a retail business. Crazy, right? So an organized retail crime investigator will typically work in coordination with store loss prevention to identify, disrupt, and dismantle these criminal enterprises. These investigators typically operate outside the four walls of stores, conducting covert surveillance of suspects in the field to understand the scope, size, and operations of their group. They use this info to build a solid enough case to engage the assistance of law enforcement. These ORC organizations can be quite complex, and the losses from a single case can range from the tens of thousands into the millions. A 2021 case in California that was cracked by CBS retail organized crime investigators reached the historic figure of $50 million. Mind-boggling. These are just a few of the roles you'll find in retail security. I have provided some links in the comments to some interesting career opportunities and other resources to help you learn more about the field. So, what are retailers looking for when it comes to entry-level security officer and loss prevention detective positions? It's typically similar to what is required for entry-level security officer positions outside of retail. However, when it comes to organized retail crime investigators, the qualifications are elevated. These roles are often looking for candidates with the following qualifications: excellent communication skills, both written and verbal, attention to detail, time management and prioritization skills, 5 years of loss prevention or investigative experience, and formal interview and interrogation training. Wicklander-Zulawski is typically preferred in retail. A college degree in criminal justice and some organized retail crime experience is preferred. You may be able to position yourself for an opportunity like this by working as a loss prevention detective in a retailer with a progressive loss prevention program. In terms of salary, loss prevention detectives typically make around $16 to $21 an hour, while organized retail crime investigators make between $54,000 and $58,000 a year on average. Store-level loss prevention leaders average around $58,000 to $81,000 a year. Are you going to get rich working in retail security? Probably not. But you'll definitely gain valuable experience in these positions and maybe climb the corporate ladder to a six-figure position someday. There's a good amount of career ladder mobility in retail security if you dedicate yourself to the work. In terms of the more progressive national retailers leading the way in loss prevention programs, I would say that Target, TJX, Walmart, and CVS are some of the more sophisticated players out there. Just take a look at some of the positions they're posting and see for yourself. I would steer clear of contract security positions in retail and stay with the in-house retail security jobs. The contract security positions will not give you access to the same opportunities, and you might find yourself just playing goalie for shoplifters. There you have it, an intro to retail security careers. I hope it was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button and notification button so you get the latest and greatest videos. If you like my video, hit the like button. Also, I want to hear from you. Drop me a comment below to tell me what you'd like to learn from my channel or just questions you might have. Until next time, I'm Dave Corbin, and this is From Guard to Pro.